Hello, friends. One of the very difficult moments that anyone can ever face in their lives is losing their loved ones. And the journey after that is often very difficult, but it can also be transforming. And I feel that when we transform, because we have been through that process of missing someone so much and losing them to death, I feel it also honors the loved one who has passed on. In this talk, I'll try to go through some brief points with which anyone going through grief can help to support themselves better. It's sometimes when the grief becomes dysfunctional and it carries on over too long a time, or it is in the very acute stage where it's becoming difficult for a person to even carry on the day-to-day, the normal chores. It could be advisable to get some help in terms of some support through medication or some support through counseling. A few pointers that can help is, one is understanding the process of grief. Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, she has given the stages of grief in many of her books. She worked for many years with dying patients, and observation of them and observation of their families led her to come up with these points, and I also observed that many times they stand true with the process that a person goes through. Mostly, firstly, the person goes into shock. It's unbelievable that it has happened, and it's very normal for it to take some time to sink in that it has really happened. The person who was part of the worldview, part of the world that we lived in, is not there in the world anymore. It will take some time for it to sink in. There's denial. Person doesn't even want to accept that this has happened. There could be anger against God, anger against the person who has died, anger against oneself. Feeling angry is also a normal part of the process. There can be sadness, despondence, despair. Person feels like there's nothing left in life and there's hopelessness. But even if you're feeling that, know that it is one of the phases. You'll go through it and come to the next one in whatever time it takes for you to go through that. And that time could be of acceptance that yes, this has happened. It's very sad, but it has happened. And some people transition to transformation, where they become a different person than who they were before this had happened. So going through all these phases, it's advisable sometimes to take some time off from work, maybe, if it is possible. Some time away from the routine activities, if it is possible to get that kind of support so that the person can just be by himself. Yeah. It's good to talk to a friend where you can tell the friend that you just want to vent. So many grieving people, they're not looking for wisdom. They're not looking for that, how do I fix this now? And offering of words, any words are very often inadequate. Nobody can really understand what a person is going through, because for every person, the journey through grief would be uniquely their own. There could be pointers like I shared, but it would be very different for each person. Even if somebody says that they have also been through grief, but to understand completely another person's journey is not possible. So many times the words, they just fall very, very inadequate. And in those times, it's better if you have a friend and you can tell them, or if you are somebody who is supporting a grieving person, that to just listen, to watch, to observe, to see what they need, and to try and fulfill that without, them being bothered about it. Like meals, for instance, it might be very difficult for that person to cook, or if there are little children who need to be taken care of. So anticipating needs and fulfilling them is a better way to support a grieving person, rather than offering words like it'll soon be all right and you'll soon feel better and there will be another day. And all of those words, they fall less, and person may just feel that his feelings are not being honored. And this whole social conditioning about let's be happy, there is an impatience to be happy, so that we do not want to even honor this time. I feel even this time is a sacred time for somebody going through it. It needs to be honored, and its pace needs to be honored, right? And there could be so many layers which emerge when a person goes through grief. And if that is happening, it's really good to take some professional help so that you can understand the unpeeling of those layers. Because many times what happens is that the structures in the mind, they just collapse when something like that happens. Because human mind operates on permanence, on continuity. It doesn't take mortality into account. That often seems to happen to other people, not to us. So when that happens, then a window opens up in which a person can transform. But so many people do not go into it. Rather, they go into victimhood, into blame. Somebody has done this black magic, or victimhood. Why did it have to happen to me? And poor me. And resentment, self-pity. So those are the negative emotions a grieving person can get stuck with. And if you see your friend, or if you see yourself stuck in these emotions, that means you still have to do some work to unpeel more layers and to let go of these emotions. And only in that way will you honor the one who has passed. Other ways of supporting yourself is that if that person, especially if that person was part of your household, to change the household in some way so that you're not constantly reminded of that person. And it can happen over a period of months or years. It doesn't have to happen immediately. When a person has passed, it's important to understand that, or that might be a better belief to have, that there's a continuity in life, that the physical presence is not there, but the soul is there. So if one is open and willing, one can explore this more, read more books about it, talk to more people about it. And India especially, we hold this view of afterlife, I feel, which is a great solace for those who grieve. And listening to personal experiences of other people who have experienced this, incidents of experiencing that there is something beyond death, does give a lot of solace to grieving people. And understanding that, knowing that the form of communication with your loved one has to change now. It has to move from being able to pick up the phone and call them or talk to them in person, to now to maybe write them letters. And knowing that they can read every word, or just holding this belief that they can read every word. And you can even burn the letter afterwards, so that it becomes a ritual of just letting go of whatever that was inside you, right? So I feel that knowing that the communication with them can go on and their love and support is always there. It always helps a grieving person, but we can choose our own set of beliefs. It's not necessary to embrace these beliefs at all. And one can be open, and one can support oneself in whichever way one feels most comfortable. There can be grief support groups one can join, and talking to other people who have emerged from grief might help. So we have to make space in our time to hold this process as a very sacred process and know that it will also transform us and change us in certain ways. And when it does, then those who have passed, their passing will not seem futile or meaningless. And it will have touched and transformed you, and it will touch and transform those you meet. So I feel that grief can be a biggest teacher to us if we let the process teach us, and we don't get caught up in the despair and the self-pity that comes up. So I wish you that you're able to embrace the many possibilities that exist, and that you're supported through this journey. Or if you're supporting someone, I wish you that you're able to offer them great support and know the divine will always guide you in supporting them in the best possible way. Thank you for listening, dear friends.